All right, it's the tutorial for task number 1 for computational social science. So on the Moodle, if we go down to skills tasks, task number 1, see the folder here for code and data. If you open that up, here's the code for Jupyter Notebook, and here's an Excel sheet. This is the data you need to input. You'll import this data when you run this code. So you can download both of these separately, or you can download them as a zip file. And in any case, you need to create a folder. So here I created a folder called task 1. And you can see I've saved the 2 files in this folder. So this folder, task 1, is going to be the project folder. I think it's, if you have I would make one project folder for all the skills tasks, and some of them are going to connect to each other. Task 1 feeds into task 2. And then inside of that folder, create a folder for each task. And then it'll be easier to manage the data input and output. Okay, so once your code and your Excel file are in here, let's just look at the Excel file really quickly. So this merged data, it has there's 6 room types across 12 months of the year. So in January, 6 room types, February, 6 room types, all the way down to December. And then here you've got, for each room type in each month, you have the number of rooms, the number of reservations, the total number of days stayed. And then you have 3 revenue streams. So there's the bar. Here's the planned revenue for the bar. Here's the actual revenue for the bar. And then you've got planned revenue for the food, actual revenue for the food, planned revenue for the room, actual revenue for the room. And then if you sum the bar plan, food plan, room plan, you'll get the total plan. And if you sum up bar actual, food actual, room actual, you'll get total actual. So that's what the data looks like. And of course, we want to compare for we want to compare the planned amounts to the actual amounts and see how close they were. And you know, for here, like the actual bar is not too far off from the planned bar, but here, because the actual food for this budget election in January, it's less than 50% of the planned revenue. So there's something going on here. So we'll look in the data. In task 2, we'll actually look at some graphs. But in task 1, we're going to create the Excel files that we'll need to create those graphs. So here's the, and we'll discuss that in more detail. But anyways, here's the data. I'm going to close that. Okay, so I want to open this code. To do that, I'm going to run Jupyter Notebook. If you have Anaconda, then you should open up Anaconda, and then open up Jupyter Notebook, and then navigate to this folder and open up this code. I'm not using Anaconda, I'm using Jupyter Notebook in the command line. So however you open your Jupyter Notebook, whether it's in command line in the terminal or command prompt or your Anaconda, but anyways, once you open it up, then remember wherever you saved these files, you want to navigate there. So I want to navigate to this task one folder so I can open up this file in Jupyter Notebook. So for me, this is in Dropbox. There's my courses, computational social science, skills tasks, task number one. And there are my two files. And now if I click on this one, it'll open up the Jupyter Notebook file. Adapted this task, skills task, from another tutorial, Python 201 tutorial. That tutorial had several lessons about basic pandas, sorting and grouping data, shaping and merging data frames, preparing data sets for visualization. But this task is borrowing some of these skills or tools from each of these tutorials. Those tutorials are available yeah, if you go to the YouTube playlist, you can find links to so I have this computational social science playlist. That's where I'm going to put the tutorial for this one. But if you look at my other playlists, with my account and my playlist, if you look at the KIMEP Data Science Lab playlist, you'll see here are tutorials for Python 101, Python 102, and Python 201. So these Python 201, these are the ones that we're drawing on here with the skills task number one using pandas. So you can go look over these tutorials. They're each about an hour or 90 minutes to look at to learn about these tasks in more detail. So okay. So first we're going to open merge XLSX. Right, we're going to open this file here. Well, let's import the pandas library first. So Jupyter Notebooks, cells that look like this, you can see with the gray background, these are code. Right? These cells here are markdown, like HTML. So this is not Python code. This is just HTML markdown, which lets me just print like text. But these cells with the in and the square brackets here, these are actually Python code. So if you want to run the code that's in here, you put your cursor in here, you highlight this box, and then you go up here and you click run. Right. Now, any line that has a hashtag in front of it is going to make all of this commented out. So it's just a text instead of code. So if you wanted to actually run this, you should delete the hashtag. Now it's code. And if I run this, it would actually run this code. This code I put a hashtag in front of. This is the line to install the pandas library. So if you don't have the pandas library yet, you'll want to delete the hashtag and run this. If I run it, it's going to tell me that I already have pandas. So requirement already satisfied. I already have pandas. So for me, I'm just going to put a hashtag here and run it again, and that'll be nothing. But once you have installed pandas, now anytime you want to use pandas, you can import it. So I'll run this. I'm importing pandas as PD. This PD is just an alias. So anytime I want to call the pandas library, I don't have to write pandas. I can write PD. And you'll see in this line here, merged equals PD. I'm using the pandas library alias PD instead of writing, I could write pandas here, but instead I'll just use the shorter alias. And then I can use the read Excel file from the pandas library to open merge. Does not have a header. Oh, I'm sorry, the header, this indicates that the header for this file is on the top row. So here in merge, you can see the top row here is the header file. So in Excel, the first row, Excel starts counting rows from 1, 2, 3, but Python starts counting rows from 0, 0, 1, you can see 0, 1, 2, 3. So when we're opening up this file, the header for that, we're going to say is in the first row, which in Python is 0. Header equals 0. And we're going to open up that Excel file, and we'll save it to merged. And this is going to create a pandas data frame called merged. Okay, so I ran that. And if you look quickly at the type, what data type is merged, you can see it's a pandas data frame object. So let's look at let's look at merged itself. What is merged? And merged now is the data that was in the Excel file, right? We just imported the Excel file data into the Python pandas data frame called merged. And you can see it has 72 rows, 13 columns, right? All right, so that's the data set. Now, since we're looking at, to analyze this data, we wanted to see the percentages of the actual revenues as a percent or fraction of the planned revenues. So here for the bar actual, what percentage is the bar actual of bar plan? What percentage is food actual of food plan, and so on? So we can just create new variables. Bar percent will be bar actual divided by bar plan. Why is merged here? So merged is a data frame. If you use the square brackets and then put some column, you can put in the column name in quotes, and that will specify a column in this data frame. So bar percent is new. It's not, there is no bar percent up at the top here. So we're creating a new column in merged called bar percent. So we're creating new columns from old columns. What is bar percent? It's going to be, well, we're going to grab the values from the bar actual column, and we'll divide it by the values in the bar plan column. When you write it like this, Pandas assumes that you're doing this row by row. So it assumes that you want to take the bar actual in row 1, or in row 0, divide by the plan in row 0, and we'll save that to a new variable called bar percent. So we're going to do this with bar percent. Food percent is food actual divided by food plan. Room percent is room actual divided by room plan. Total percent is total actual divided by total plan. And since I created these new columns in merge. Now when I run merge, you'll see these columns have been added. We had total plan, total actual. Now we have our 4 new columns. Bar percent, food percent, room percent, total percent. They're not really, I mean, I didn't multiply these by 100 to make them actual percents, but now I'm just going to keep them as a decimal. So some of the actuals were less than the plan, right? So here, food percent, 30,000 divided by 64,000 was about 40.47. But in some cases, the actual was greater than the plan. So here, in the executive suite in January, the actual bar revenue was 37% above the plan value, and the food was also about 30% over the plan, and then the room was about 7% over the plan. Right? So altogether about 14% over plan. So we've created the new variables. And now let's prepare the data for visualizations. So there's several visualizations I want to create, bar plots and mostly. So first I want to look at, and also line plots. So for the first visualization, I want the total percentages by month and by room type. So total percent is here, it's this column, and I want it by month and by room type. So so for the visualization, the columns that I want are month, room type, and total percent. So this is a list. In Python, these square brackets here are a list, so mean a list. So this is a list of the column names. And then if I enter this, I'll save this list as visualization columns. And now if I put this list of column names here inside of merged, right, visualization columns, and then I save that to V1, it's going to create, it's going to just grab these columns out of merged and save them as a new data frame called V1. So you can see here, V1 has just has month, room type, and total percent, just these columns. And that's all I need to show total percentages by month and room type. So this is, I don't need to do anything else that is data. I just want to export V1 to a new Excel file. So to do that, I take V1 dot and then the 2 Excel functions, which you can apply to a data frame like V1. I want to save this data frame V1 as an Excel file, v1.xlsx, and index it set defaults. So when I export this to an Excel file, there won't be like an extra column with showing the index or the row numbers. So, and then I run that, and then if I go to my folder here, now I'm creating a new file called, I've created a new file, Excel sheet file called V1, and if I open it up, it should be exactly the same as this data with the month, the room type, and the percent total. So I will be using this Excel sheet to do some line graphs later in task 2. Okay, so the rest of these are quite similar. So here, visualization 2, you need to do, you need to write the code. It'll be similar to this, visualization 1, where I want total percentages by month and revenue type. So here I wanted total percentages by month and room type. Now I want total percentages by month and revenue type. So this will be, you'll have to decide what, you can basically copy and paste code from here. right, from visualization 1 and change it a little bit. Please query total percentages by month and revenue type, and then write this query out as an Excel file. Total percentages. So if you finish visualization 2, then let's go on to visualization 3. I'm going to pause for just a second. Okay, we're back. I just wanted to double check. So here, when I say total percentage by month and revenue type, what I actually want, sorry, is percentages of each revenue type by month. So each revenue type bar, food, and room. So that's I want to look at the bar percent, food percent, and room percent by month. So those are the 4 variables you can put in visualization 2. So visualization 3, I want bar, food, room, and total percentages by month for each room type. So here I'm going to make one graph of the bar, food, room, and total percentages by month. I'm going to make one graph for each room type. So I have, if you look at the room type here, right, the variable room type. So in the data frame, if you take that column room type and then you look at the unique values, here are the 6 room types: Club Deluxe King, Executive Suite, King Suite, 1-bedroom club, 1-bedroom suite, and Superior King. So, right, and here are the room types. So this is the column room type. So if I test, if I use this double equal sign, this will test whether each value in the room type is equal to Club Deluxe King room. And you can see the first value is a Club Deluxe King room. So this statement will return true for the row 0. For row 1, 2, 3, 4, it's false. Right? So every 6, right? So 0, 5, 11, so on and so forth will be true. Why am I doing this? Because if I enter this now inside of the square brackets, right, this true, false, false, true, whatever, this list of true and false will tell me which rows I want. And which rows do I want? I want those rows where room type equals Club Deluxe King room. So here in merge within the square brackets, if you put in the data frame and then you put in the name of a column, it'll give you a column. But if you put in the square brackets this list of true and false, then it will actually return the rows. So that satisfy this criteria. So you can see here merged where the room type is Club Deluxe King Room. That's every sixth entry, 0, 6, 12, 18, 24. Right? And you can see here the room type, these are all, we're only getting the Club Deluxe room from January to December. So yes, I want these rows for the Club Deluxe King Room, but then for the columns, what columns do I want? I only want bar, food, room, and total percentages and the month. So in the room type, I don't need number of rooms, reservations. I don't need all this extra stuff. So I want these rows where it's Club Deluxe King Room, but then I also want these columns, month, total percent, bar percent, food percent, room percent. So those are the only columns I want. So I'll call those the visualization columns. And then here in merged, I have the square brackets. Merged room type is, I only want the rows, which are Club Deluxe King Room. And then if I put the comma inside of these square brackets, these are the rows that I want, and these are the columns, which I specified here. If you want to look for rows and columns at the same time in a data frame, then you have to use this .loc. I don't know why. So merge.loc, it lets you choose all the rows where the room type is Club Deluxe King Room and only these columns. And then if I save all of this to a new variable called v3, Club Deluxe, then this is a new data frame, right? And what does it contain? It contains months 1 through 12 for the Club Deluxe King Room, where with the total bar, food, and room percents. Right? So for Excel, for now, each of these is a percent. You can see the months are going down here, but for each month, the percents are going across. So the month variable is called long, but the percent variables are wide because each percent has its own column. Right? So we could melt these data frame columns from wide to long. So the Python 201, the tutorial 3 talks about this. What if I want total percent, bar percent, food percent, room percent to be turned from wide to long? How could I do that? Well, first of all, these are all percents, you'll notice. And so I want month to stay the same. So here I'll call ID vars month. That's going to stay the same. The variable name, so what I'm going to do is collapse these 4 columns into 2 columns. One will be percent, or the revenue type. So the revenue type could be either total or bar or food or room. And then the value name, this third column, the value name will be the actual percent. So you'll see what I'll do in a minute. I'm gonna take these 4 columns and I'm gonna make them long into 2 columns. So I do that by defining these variables, the columns this is the one that's staying the same, and these are the 2 new ones that I'm creating. And then I'm gonna melt this data frame with these ID variables, this variable name, and this value name. And I'm going to save that over the V3 Club Deluxe. And so if I run that, now you can see this data here is the same as this data here. You've got month 1, where the revenue type is total percent, and you have all those percents. And then you have month 1 through 12 again. for bar percent with all those percents, then again 1 through 12 for food percent, and once again for room percent. So why did I do this? Because when I want to visualize this graph in R does not like wide columns. And so if I want to do a different data series, if I want to do 4 data series for a total percent, like one data series for each of these 4 types of revenue streams, for R, I want to melt them longwise like this, where the revenue type is a categorical variable, total, bar, food, and room, and then the value is the percent. So I've created this, I've melted it, and now I'm going to export it to the clubdeluxe.xls. So I did that, and now that this data here has now been saved here, right? And if I open it, it'll look just like this. Okay, so I've done that for visualization 3. I've done that for Club Deluxe King Room. I want you to rewrite this code to for executive suite, for the king suite, for the 1-bedroom club room, the 1-bedroom suite, and the superior king room. So at the end of the day, I want you to have 6 of these files for V3. Okay, now for visualization 4, I want the annual total percentages by room type. So here, up until this point, I had all these data series by month. Here, visualization 4, I'm going to do a bar plot. I don't want a line graph over the months. What I want to do is I want to aggregate the total percentages by each room type. So to do that, I'm going to need total plan, total action. So since I want it by room type, I need the room type. Why don't I use total percentage since I want annual total percentages? Because I can't aggregate, I can't add up all the different percentages, right? Or just add them up or average them. What I need to do is I need to I need to add up all of the totals, right, from January through December for this room type. I need to add up all the totals for the January through December for executive suite and then for the king suite. So in order to create annual total percentages by room type, I need to first create annual the total plan and the total actual, add those over the months. So you'll see if I choose these 3 columns, room type, total plan, and total actual, if I merge, sorry, I take the data frame with these 3 columns, and if I group by room type, and then I sum those up, then it's going to sum up all of the total plans for each room across the 12 months. So you can see, like here, in our original data set, this is going to take, for the Club Deluxe room, it's going to take the January total plan, the February total plan for Club Deluxe, the March total plan for Club Deluxe, and it's going to add them all up so that you get the planned revenue from January through December for King Club, or for the Club Deluxe. And then also you do the same thing with the actuals, right? And now that I have the total plan and total actuals added up for each room type over the 12 months, now I can do what I did before to create a total percent, right? And now remember, I'm not dealing with merged anymore. I have a new data frame. This is annual total, right? This is this new data frame, annual total. And I want to take the total actual in annual total and divide it by the total plan to get the total percent. So I'm going to create a new column as a function of the old columns. So annual total percent, right? New column is going to be annual total actual divided by the total plan. And if I do that, I will get, oops, I didn't find this yet. A total percent column like this. And now I only wanted the total annual percentages by room type. So I used total plan and total actual to calculate total percent, but now I don't need these two columns. All I want are room type and total percent. So I choose those two columns, right? A list of the column names, room type, and total percent. I put those into annual total, and then it will read and save that as V4. And then V4 will look like this, right? It's this data, but minus these two columns. And now I'm going to output that to Excel because I can, this is what I'll use in my bar graph to show the total percents for each room type. So I'll save this to my local file as V4. Right? And you can see here, I have V4 now, and if I open it up, it should look just like this data here. Okay. Yep. Right, so it's just this exact same data. Visualization 5, it's similar. It's going to be annual percentages. Annual percentages by revenue type. Please. You'll calculate it the same way, but instead of having a room type here, you'll have a revenue stream. Right? And you're still grouping over months. So in order to get these annual percentages. So borrow the code for visualization 4, borrow that code, and then adapt it to annual percentages by revenue type. So, and then lastly, our last visualization is 6, annual room bar and food percentages by room type. So this is, again, for a bar graph. So here, just like in visualization 4, in order to get these annual room bar and food percentages by room type, I'm going to have to group by room type, right? And then add those up over that. So what columns do I need to do that? Well, first, I need to create these percents. Total actual divided by total plan, right? Bar actual divided by bar plan. I need these percents. Let's see. So here, if you take these columns over room type, then here you have the actual total plan, bar actual total plan, blah, blah, blah. Now I want to create the percentages. I already created the total percent earlier, but we can do it again. So total percent is the total actual divided by the total plan. Yeah, we did that here. But now we're going to do it for all the other, each revenue stream in particular. So bar percent is bar actual divided by bar plan. Food percent, food actual divided by food plan. Room percent, room actual divided by room plan. right? And now I've got the total percent, bar percent, food percent, room percent, not over the months, but just over aggregated, summed over each room type. But now I have way too many variables here. I'm going to drop some of these. So what do I want to keep? I want to keep room type, total percent, bar percent, food percent, and room percent. So I'll put those columns into the annual total data frame and save that as V6. So now if you see for V6, it's room type, total percent, bar percent, food percent, room percent. It's just like here, but without all these extra unnecessary columns. Okay, and then again, we're going to note this because we have the percents going wide and then the room types going vertically, horizontally, sorry, vertically. So we're going to melt again. The room type is the thing we're going to leave the same. The variable name, again, just like before, it's going to be the type of revenue with the revenue type, and then the value will be the percent. I'm going to melt these, and then you can check out the revenue here. So you can see it's taken this data, total percent, bar percent, food percent, room percent for each room type. But now if you look here, here are the room types. And the total percent, right, for each room type. And then for the bar percent, there's 6 here instead of 6 values there. And then for the food percent, food parent, again. And then for room percent. So they've all just been, they're all here. Now we just kind of switch them to make them null. Okay, and then after that, I want to sort by the room type and the revenue type. So if you sort based on room type, then you'll see for each room type and revenue type, there's 1%. So I save this, I run this and save this as a V6. And now I've got V6 there. So at the end of the day for you, you're going to have V1, V2, you're going to have 6 versions of V3, right, Club Deluxe, but then the other 5. And then you have V4, V5, and V6. And once you have these Excel files from Pandas, you're done for now. You can close that, and then be sure to take these and copy them and paste them into task 2, which may need some more. And what you're going to use to make the visualizations from these spreadsheets. So, anyways, for now, like you're done with task 1, and you should go back here to submit task 1. When you submit it, I want you to submit the Pandas code, which you changed. So here, when you adapted, for example, visualization 2, here, when you copy and pasted code here, I want to see what it looks like. So here, when you submit task 1, include your revised Pandas code, and then you'll submit several Excel files for 1, 2, for 3, you'll submit 6, and 6, 1 for each room type, and then for, again, 1 file. So you'll just upload those, and you're done with task number 1. And if you want to, you can save this, and then just log out. I'll be putting the Yeah, I'll put the link up for this tutorial. Okay. Well, that's it for skills test number 1. Let me know if you have any trouble. And again, you can find that. Well, you'll have already found it. You know where to look. So if I can help add this to the YouTube playlist. So, okay, thanks for watching.